Today, we're going to talk about 10 lessons that I've learned over my 15 plus years in real estate that have helped me have some success and get to where I am and we are. As many of you probably know, I have been a product or am a product of continued education and being in the right rooms with the right people, with the right coaches. And over the course of my career in real estate, being in the right rooms and continuing to learn and trying to keep my head on straight and reach my goals and all these different things, I've isolated 10 different thoughts, ideas that I think are really important for us to remember and keep in mind and kind of keep at the front of our focus when we're trying to grow our businesses. So we'll dive into that. And if you guys have any questions on any of these, go ahead and comment with your questions and I'll make sure to respond. So the first thing I wrote down, and also for the record, this is something that I wrote a few years ago. So as I went back and pulled it up, that some of it was really timely. I got into the business in 2000, end of 2007, beginning of 2008, which was one of the worst times to get into the business. And with that, the first thing I wrote down is I learned that the market conditions never control success. Only I can do that. Doesn't matter what kind of market you're in. There's always transactions happening. Even if the market drops by 30 or 40%, that still means that 60, 70% of the deals that were being done are still being done. And if we focus on what's happening as opposed to what's not happening, it helps us stay focused on the activities that matter. You know, coming into the business in that 2008 time, I watched a lot of people leaving the business as I got into the business. And as I rode that wave back into a good market and then back to where we are today, one of the things that really stood out to me is when the market was quote unquote bad, the transactions really didn't go anywhere. There might have been less transactions, but they were just different. The market was different, but deals were still being done. So as we see how things unfold with the market that we're in, data and everything shows that we're probably going to continue to get stronger and have a good half of the second year. But regardless of where it goes, if we go into a housing challenge, if we get into the short sale and REO world, the reality is that people are always going to need to buy and people are always going to need to sell. And if the volume starts to drop, we have to remember that the amount of unproductive agents is going to drop at a much greater rate, which means although the market might be getting smaller, if you stay active and focus on growing your business, the fact that more agents are getting out of the business, that actually means that your chances of succeeding are getting higher. Some of the most successful agents that I talked to, up to a year, 2 years ago, when we would talk about when the next correction is coming, almost all of them, if not all of them, said they weren't scared. They knew that they could win at a higher degree because skill set, understanding, work ethic, all of that stuff really makes a difference. So I want you to remember that in this time, there's still deals happening. There's a lot of deals happening. San Diego right now, we're very fortunate, is, for a lack of better terms, on fire. Things are going well. Yes, there's some challenges, but the shortage of inventory alongside the different loan programs and rates, there's still a lot of deals to be had. So always remember that regardless of where the market is, the market never controls your ability to win and succeed. The only thing that controls that is you, your actions, your activities, your mindset, stuff like that. Second thing I wrote down, I learned that communication and dialogue skills are my biggest competitive advantage. In the real estate business, we have people come into this industry as real estate agents from all different industries. We're having teachers come in, we're having nurses come in, we're having salespeople come in, we're having ex-military and doctors and postmen and gardeners. I mean, you're getting all different types of industries finding their way into the real estate space. And that's awesome. But the problem that creates for some of us is if you came into the business with no prior sales skills, it's hard to understand or even know that communication and dialogue skills are your biggest advantage. See, statistics show that when you're talking to someone and trying to convert a lead into an appointment, it takes about 12 minutes on the phone or 7 to 8 objections handled to set 80% of the appointments that can be set, which means that a large sum, 80% of the deals that are being done and are converting are happening on the backside of someone having the communication and dialogue skills to handle 7, 8 objections, to stay on the phone for 12 plus minutes. We have to remember that when you're communicating with your leads, with your prospects, they always default to throwing out smoke screens or objections or sounding like they're not motivated for the purpose of trying to slow down the conversion process. We have to have the mindset, the communication, the dialogue skills that you can, 1, hear them, 2, understand them, and 3, continue the conversation with thought process and word patterns that help the consumer start to feel comfortable and confident that you're the person they're going to work with. We have to remember that the consumer already believes that you know what you're doing because you have a real estate agent. So it's not so much that they're looking for someone that knows what they're doing. They're looking for someone that makes them feel comfortable and confident that they're the right person to work with. They don't want to hire a bozo. They don't want to hire a clown. They want to hire with someone that makes them feel comfortable, makes them feel heard, makes them feel understood. And in that process, the way that they do that is by throwing out smoke screens and objections so they can see how they feel about being in a relationship with a salesperson for an extended period of time. Now, it's not like they're actively saying, okay, I'm going to throw these things out so I can test this person and see if they're the type of person I want to work with. This is just a natural reaction in the sales process, and we have to remember that. You know, if you've ever gone to go buy a car and you know you want to buy a car, or you're going to the jewelry store and you know you want to get something, and the salesperson comes up to you at the car dealership, you can't wait to get in the car. You can't wait to take it for a test drive. You can't wait to learn more. The moment they come up to you and say, hey, can I help? Most of us default to say, oh yeah, I'm just looking. Why is it that you say that? The reality is that you are motivated. You do want to go inside the car. You want to smell the new leather. You want to take it for a drive. You want to learn more. You want to explore the payments. But you say stuff like, yeah, I'm just looking, or I'm just checking it out, or I'm just thinking about it, simply to make yourself feel like you're slowing down the sales process. And we have to remind ourselves that it's the same thing in real estate. It's the same thing with your leads. It's the same thing when you're calling expireds, by owners, whatever you do to call or whoever you're reaching out to, they default to the same exact pattern of just trying to slow it down. So you always have to help them understand that you hear them, that you're with them, that you understand them, and then ask for permission to give them another perspective or approach to look at. People that put their hands up for a reason. We have to remember that. When they put their hands up, they put their hands up for a reason. We have to be the person that makes them feel comfortable and confident that we can help them get what they want in the time that they want. So my challenge for you on this point is, let's make sure that we're always working on our scripts, on our objection handlers, on our ability to repeat and approve. One of the things that should have been on this list and just didn't make it is learn the different personality styles. One of the biggest advantages that I have in a sales environment is that I can quickly analyze someone after, talking to them for 30 to 60 seconds and know what personality style there are. And there's only 4 personality styles, and all 4 of them like to be communicated with differently. So as you learn the different communication styles or personality styles, as you learn your objection handlers, as you learn your scripts, all these things make it easier for you to help people feel comfortable and confident in the sales process. Also, if you want some good training on different personality styles, I've done some in the past. Maybe I'll do that next week. But there's a lot of content out there on learning the personality styles. So consider searching on YouTube. Mike Ferry does a lot of it. There's some good books out there on it. So I would definitely spend some time learning and paying attention to that side of the business. Thanks, Wes. All right, number 3. You can't be scared when you practice. What do I mean by that? A lot of us have, what's the word I'm looking for? We're scared to pick up the phone. And we're scared to pick up the phone because we're not yet well-versed enough in what to say and what to do. A lot of us are nervous when we go into listing appointments, and it's simply because we haven't gone on a listing appointment enough. All of the things that slow us down in our mind are tied to our confidence. So if we simply had more confidence, we would stay more in motion. You know, I remember growing up, I was never, ever really good at video games, but all my friends liked to play them. And I never had the desire to play video games when they weren't around. So I wasn't, when they said, hey, let's turn on the Xbox, I wasn't pumped on that. I played along because I was hanging out with my friends. But if I would have taken the time to learn the video games, I probably would be more excited to play those games. Same thing goes with any sport. If you were never good at a sport, how excited were you to get on the court and play the game? You probably weren't. So we have to remember that you can't be scared when you practice, and practice builds your confidence, it builds your momentum, and it makes your life and your ability to convert at a higher level easier. The difference between a low producer and a high producer, one of the biggest differences is their ability to convert more people. So if you're a top producer and I'm not, and we're both talking to 100 people, if I can turn 100 conversations into one appointment, and you as a trained salesperson can turn 100 conversations into 5 appointments, you're simply making more money and more progress in the same amount of time and effort that I am. And the only difference is practice, skill, communication, dialogue, and some of the different things that we're going to talk about today. So remember that practice is very boring. It's something that most of us don't want to do. And that's one of our biggest competitive advantages. If you simply take the time and go through the repetitious boredom of practicing the things that make you better in this business, you simply become better, and that makes everything easier. It makes the rejection process easier. It makes the conversion process easier. It keeps your mind in the right place. So, you know, I can't say enough about role playing, about having accountability partners, practicing your scripts, rewriting them, recording yourself and listening to yourself. It's important to remember and understand that you can't be scared when you practice. So get out there and practice. And right now, being at home more than we normally are, what a great time to do that. You know, something that I was saying a lot when we first got into this is it should be all of our goals that we come out of this better than we were when we got into it. So take the time right now when you're at home, more than you normally are, practice your scripts, practice your dialogues. A great way to get some scripts for free is on Mike Ferry's website. If you go to mikeferry.com, I think you have to create a free account, and then you go to products and complimentary downloads. Scripts for all parts of the sales process, by owners, expireds, just as it just sold, calling leads, listing appointments, your sphere of influence, you name it, it's all in there. Number 4, we have to remember that you have to lose in order to win. The people that win the most are the people that have lost the most. So we can't allow one loss or 2 losses, or, you know, the process of getting our ass kicked in the business get us off track. The more you lose, the more you win. Right now with, you know, a young boy that's 5 years old, my son, the kid wants to win everything. And when he loses, he gets really upset. So I'm always telling him, bro, you have to remember that sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. But when you lose, that's your opportunity to learn and get better, so you have a better chance of winning next time. So we have to reshift our minds around the way we look at losing and understand that losing is actually progress. If you think about it, let's say that it takes me 50 contacts, 50 no's to get a yes. I actually made my money. I actually made the progress going through the 50 no's, not so much finding the one person that says yes. So it's the 50 losses that I went through and kept going and didn't stop that helped me find the win. So winning is actually losing. And the more we can change our perspective around the idea of losing and not getting what we want in the time that we want it, is your ability to keep, it's directly connected to your ability to keep your head straight, your mind straight, your action straight, and a positive attitude. So don't allow losing, whatever losing is to you, to determine your next step. Instead, try to find a way to make the loss an understanding in your brain that this is progress, that this is what you need. It's virtually impossible to win at a high level without continued loss through the process. Number 5, there are no shortcuts to any place worth going. I'll say that again. There are no shortcuts to any place worth going. It's always going to take longer than you think. It's always going to cost more money than you think. It's always going to be harder than you think. And a lot of us, myself included, we're always looking for the shortcuts. We're looking for the magic pill. We're looking for the new tech or the new system. But we have to remember that all of these magic pills that we're looking for, they're not actually going to help us shortcut. They're going to help us become more effective. They're going to help us get more done, but they are not the actual process. All the tech, the tools, the shortcuts that we're looking for, I look at those like what sharpens the axe. The axe is still the axe. You need the axe. You need to swing the axe. You need to put pressure behind the axe in order to chop down the tree. Yes, if you have tools to make the axe sharper and you learn how to swing it better and you learn how to be more effective, all of that stuff is important, but there is no substitute for the axe. So remember that there are no shortcuts to any place worth going. And if you get there with the shortcut, you're probably not going to stay there long. Number 6. We have to learn to get comfortable with worst case scenarios. What do I mean by that? I think statistically over half of entrepreneurs deal with like anxiety. They deal with stress. I think, in my opinion, I can't imagine how you don't, because we deal with a lot. But the problem is that your stress and your anxiety rises when you're living in the future. So when I'm dealing with a challenge or a problem, my brain is going to take it to the worst possible scenario, because that's how our subconscious lives and learns and helps us stay alive. So something that I learned very early on from one of my mentors is you have to get comfortable with the worst case scenarios. And when you can find peace and comfort in the worst case scenario, it helps you keep your head on straight. It helps you stay more in motion. It helps you not, hey guys, doing a live. It helps you keep your, sorry, the kids ran in and just interrupted me. But the point is, the more that we can get comfortable with worst case scenarios, the more we can get comfortable or okay with the worst case scenarios, the easier our life and our process in the business becomes. Let's see what's next. Number 7, you can't lose business by following up too much. The goal is to be pleasantly persistent. I'm going to say that again. You can't lose business by following up too much. The goal is to be pleasantly persistent. The person that follows up the most with the right tonality, with the right approach, without being obnoxious, is the person that wins the game. See, we have to remember that the prospect is going to hire one of two people. They're either going to hire the person that showed up the most, or they're going to hire the person that showed up last. But when you're the person that shows up the most, you're oftentimes the person that shows up last. And we have to remember that we're always interviewing for the job. So when they're analyzing the process of who they're going to hire, we have to remember that to a strong degree, a lot of people are going to remember the person that showed up the most. And when that's us, it helps us have a much greater chance of being the person that gets the appointment, gets the contract, gets the property sold. So you can't allow the drunk monkey or the dialogue in the back of your brain to convince you, oh, I'm going to call them tomorrow or next week, even though I should be calling them today. I think a good rule of thumb is if they say, call me back in 10 days, cut it in half and call them back in 5. But be pleasantly persistent. Hi, this is Sam. Just wanted to follow up. Wanted to make sure I'm not dropping the ball. How's everything going? Are you still thinking about X, Y, Z? What can I do to support? It's not about challenging them and questioning them. It's about showing up and being of service, making sure that they're still motivated and seeing what you could do to help them feel comfortable and confident with taking the next step towards the home buying or selling journey. Number 8, this one's tough, but really important. You have to remember and understand that rejection and embarrassment are a normal part of the business. It's a normal process in the business. It's impossible to win at a high level without getting rejected, embarrassed, kicked in the face many times along the way. So we have to understand that as humans, we always attach pain or pleasure to everything in our life. We're going to attach pain or pleasure to everything that we do. So imagine for a moment how much easier your life becomes, how much easier the business becomes, how much easier the processes become when you can start to enjoy, or rather attach something good, a good feeling to rejection and embarrassment, pain or pleasure, attach pleasure to rejection and embarrassment as opposed to pain, because it's the rejection and the embarrassment that gets you paid. If it was easy, everybody would be rich. Everybody would be selling hundreds of houses. Everybody would have everything they want. But it's the people that can have enough confidence, enough toughness, enough persistence, enough of a strong mindset, and a strong enough perspective that they attach pleasure to the rejection and embarrassment process. The more rejected you get, the more embarrassed you get in this business, the more progress you find, the better you become, and the easier things become. So we have to, as tough as it is, I know it's easy to say, yo, get comfortable with rejection and embarrassment. I know it's not easy, but I know it's important, and I know that you can. So we really have to, as we're getting rejected, say, this is good. This means progress. As we're getting embarrassed, say to yourself, this is good. This is progress. It's all about the conversations that you have inside of your head about those split-minute things that happen. So when I'm getting rejected call after call, I'm either saying, man, this sucks. Why is this happening to me? Or I'm saying, yes, this is awesome. Remember, Sam, this is the process. You have to go through the no's in order to get the yeses. The yes that you're looking for is surrounded by a bunch of no's. It's surrounded by a bunch of rejection and embarrassment. You simply have to be tough enough and committed enough and persistent enough to go through all of the no's in order to get to that yes. The people that get the most out of this business, the people that sell the most, make the most, enjoy the most, are the people that are always in a state of being okay, going through the rejection, the embarrassment, the no's, and the challenges. Number 9, you can't stop learning, reading, and attending events. You've heard this a million times before, but it's very surprising to me how hard it is to get people to participate in education, even when it's free. We're always putting on classes with over 1,000 agents. You see, we don't get everybody to follow. We don't get everyone to buy in. We promote events and we don't get a lot of people to come. Why is that? And it's because most of us know that if we go learn something, that means we have to do something else. We have to do more. We have to make changes. And a lot of us naturally are always fighting and resisting change. But when you put yourself in the right room with the right people, with the right education, with the right lessons, it helps you keep your brain in the right place. I'm a big believer that success ends and starts with the environment you put yourself in. Someone that I have so much respect for, Zap Martin, the disco here at Big Block. The guy's already a top producer. He's a successful agent. He's a successful investor. He does other things on the side as well. This is a guy that's already winning. And when we were doing these in person, and can't wait to get back to that, he was in the Tuesday, Thursday classes every day. This is a guy that's already winning and he's showing up all the time. For myself and Oliver and Corey, we are already at a place where we're doing pretty good, right? Like we've had progress, we've grown a great company. We still spend a good 3 months of the year in masterminds, in events, in different, courses and with different coaches. We continue to sharpen our skill because the one thing that nobody can take away from you is what you've learned, the skill sets you developed, and the actions that you know how to take steps behind. And the thing about continuing the education process is not only does it help you sharpen your skills, not only does it help you see things you're not looking at, not only does it teach you things and make you better, it also keeps you motivated. If you think about the last time you went to an event, if it was any good, you left that event on a high, right? You're feeling good. You can't wait to get back to the office. You can't wait to do the things that you've learned. How long does that high last? Does it last for a week? Does it last for a month? Does it last for 2 months? It eventually starts to fizzle off. So if we can put ourselves in the position where every month, every 2 months, every other week, whatever works for you, you're continuing to put yourself in the right room with the right training, with the right motivation, with the right people, it'll just keep you fizzing at a high level. It's about the energy. It's about the enthusiasm. If we have a high level of energy and enthusiasm in our business, it makes it easier for us to do everything else that I've talked about. It makes it easier for us to practice. It makes it easier for us to win in a bad market. It makes it easier for us to avoid the shortcuts. It makes it easier for us to get rejected and embarrassed without quitting. So I challenge you, and right now, man, there's so much free education. It's like everyone is doing lives right now and free courses on Facebook. Pay attention to those, pick up some books, listen to some podcasts, go to some events, consider hiring a coach. You have to remember that the more you learn, the more you earn. And it's like science. You can't quantify it, you can't pencil it out, but it just works. And I know for myself and most of my, if not all of my most successful friends, they spend a lot of their time learning how to become better, sharpening their skills, learning new hacks, all the different things that make them be a stronger competitive force than the people they're going up against. Remember that it's generally speaking, when there's a lead or a prospect, they're talking to about 5 or 6 other agents. You have to be the best option. And the way you become the best option is with all these things that we've talked about. And the easiest way to glue all this together is by being committed to the education, the learning, the growing, the reading, the listening, the coaching process. You guys already know, most of you at least, that I'm a big fan of the Mike Ferry organization. We started with them. I sold my first house, ended up at a Mike Ferry event, signed up for coaching, never turned back. It doesn't matter who you follow, but you need someone, and you need to follow someone that has a right track record. And then you need to put on the blinders and have the blind faith that if you simply do what they teach you to do, you're going to win. I remember when I first signed up for Mike Ferry Coaching. I was at an event. I probably had, I forget, 6 or 7 grand in the account. Not a lot. Coaching is $1,000 a month. Now I think they have a cheaper option. And I went up to a top producer, Brady Sandall, and I said, hey, dude, I've sold 1 house. This is how much money I have. Brand new to the business, thinking about getting into coaching. Would you do it in my position? And he looked at me and said something that I'll never forget. He said, Sam, coaching is like, it's almost like gravity. If you simply do what they tell you to do and you actually execute on it, you cannot help but to be successful. And I'm a big believer of that. The reason people don't win at the degree they want to win is because they're lying to themselves and giving themselves options they don't deserve. It's all about checking the boxes every day. Did you make your contacts? Did you do your follow-ups? All these things are what makes the difference. So what's my point? Being in the right room with the right people, with the right education, with the right coach, if you're in the position to do that, helps you stay in focus and helps you stay on track. And it helps you look at things that you don't want to look at. And that's a really important lesson. Last thing I have for us today is mindset is 90% of the battle. Look, the way that you look at things changes the way you see things. What I mean by that is perspective and attitude is everything. Let's look at mindset like a lens. And I've given this analogy before. So if you've heard this, you're going to hear it again. You have to look at mindset like a lens. Right now, if you and I were in a room with white walls, and I asked you, what color is this wall? You're going to say it's white. But if I could magically put an orange lens in front of your eyes without you knowing it, and then I asked you what color that wall was, you're going to tell me it's orange. And you're going to believe it's orange. And if I told you it was white, you would think I was the crazy one. What's my point? Your mindset changes your lens. And if you're looking through shitty lens, you're going to see a bunch of crap. If you're looking through a positive lens, you're going to see a bunch of opportunity. So the easiest way to keep the mindset right or the lens clear is by focusing on positive thoughts. It's by focusing on your goals. It's by reading positive messages, jumping onto YouTube, watching motivational videos, reading good books. Mindset, and not just saying, okay, I'm gonna have a good mindset, but being committed to working on it daily. If all of us took 1 hour a day and had 4 15-minute mindset breaks scheduled throughout the day. First thing in the morning, you wake up, you meditate, you work on your mindset. At noon, you do it again. At 3, you do it again. At 6, you do it again. If you were simply taking those 15 minutes 4 times a day to get your mind right and have the right attitude, the right motivation, you can't help but to have a better perspective and a clearer lens. A lot of agents are winning right now, and some of them are struggling. The difference between the two, not 100%, but by a big degree, is perspective. It's the lens that they're looking through. It's the mindset in which they have at the moment. So I challenge you, right now is the time that you should be focusing on your mindset. Right now is the time that you should be putting good stuff in between your ears so that you can have a clear perspective. You can look through a clear lens as opposed to, oh, this is happening or that is happening or this is the challenge. And I know it's not easy. We all struggle with it. I struggle with it all the time. I have to check myself on a regular basis. I have to take off the wrong lens and put the right one back on. But it's my mindset that will allow me to do that. So focus on your mindset. Understand that everything to achieve, 90% of the challenge or the battle is the mindset. 10%, 20% is what you say, what you do, and how you do it. If you stay persistent, you stay positive, you stay tough, you stay learning, you stay in motion, you do the things that you know you're supposed to do, you can't help but to be successful. So that's what I have for you today. Those are my 10 golden nuggets that I've learned over the course of my time in this business. If there's anything that I can do to support, let me know. Hope you guys are enjoying yourselves. I hope you're staying happy and healthy. I also hope that you're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I know I am, and a lot of people I talk to are. Let's keep it safe. Let's keep it productive. If there's anything we can do, let us know. And I think that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching. I wish you all well, and we'll see you soon. Bye.